Hello everyone. Well, hello again. Bryan Clayton here, doing my narrative speech. So what I'd like to tell you guys about is kind of contingent on what I was talking about in the intro speech that I posted recently. Essentially, I'm going to tell you about what happened my first time I went out west. That was 3 years ago, and that was during following my first semester at Wayne State. I went up north to northern Alberta, and I worked in the oil industry as a paramedic. And why I did this was I was working part-time in the city of Windsor as a paramedic, but my hours were spontaneous and it was just not a good time. So I decided I'd try something new, and I'd try to get into the more industrial side of paramedicine. So I went out to Alberta upon receiving a job acceptance in the oil patch, and it was a terrifying experience. I got there, and my employer gave me a bag of medical supplies, a hand-drawn map, a really poorly maintained phone, and a humongous truck that was retrofitted into an ambulance. Now, I've been driving an ambulance for 5 years now. At the time, I was driving one for 2, but this was a giant, like, off-road truck that had the back of the truck bed retrofitted into an ambulance cab, and it had a stretcher in there and a sink and all of the medical stuff and what have you. And it was really, really strange. So I was literally in a new province that I've never been in my entire life, didn't know where to go, following this hand-drawn map in this giant truck that I could barely drive, going to the middle of nowhere that was literally like 6 hours away from the ambulance base that I was at. And I didn't know where anything was. So it was a truly terrifying experience, as there were no real roads 3/4 through the trip. It was all mud. There was no pavement. I'm driving up this mountain. There's no signs. There's only mile markers, and I'm referencing off a hand-drawn sheet. It was totally terrifying. At one point, I thought I was probably going to die because the road conditions were so terrible. They had a lot of logging trucks and semi-trucks that were moving water and oil back and forth and developing these humongous ruts in the road, so they almost ate my poor truck. And I called my employer at the time. I've since been with a different company now, thankfully, but I was like, where am I going? And they're like, we don't know. You have the paper. Well, it was a hand-drawn map. It was really interesting, to say the very least. One of the most terrifying experiences of my life, but it led into one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And I have since done this for the past 3 summers now. The past 2 with a new company, which is much better. But I'd say that's probably one of the most influential work experiences, one of the most new experiences I've ever encompassed. So thanks for listening to me. I hope it was an enjoyable story, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Take care.